Most people would recognize that if you start smacking a kid to tell them not to be violent, you're in fact reinforcing the very message that you're saying you're trying to interrupt. And so, you know, the old adage of, you know, that it was used in capital punishment, and when we're trying to make sure capital punishment didn't return, why kill someone who kills someone to show that killing people is wrong? Well, similarly, why do you punish people who have done something which they arguably have not had a whole lot of ability to influence the state or the situations they're in? Where they have, punishing them for it is not likely to change that behavior. It may change how they try to hide that behavior in the future, but if you don't actually set up a process whereby they can have an ability to do something different in the future, then all you do is teach them to be, you know, not get caught at it next time or something like that. So I think that when we talk about the principles, we have to think about the reality of who's in prison in the first place. And too often, whether it's restorative justice, sentencing, criminal law, we don't talk about pulling back a bit and saying, why is it we even use these processes? Crime is a theory. What we choose to criminalize and what we choose not to criminalize depends on who's in power and who has the authority to make those decisions. So when you recognize crime's a theory, you have a whole lot of leeway to determine what you'll criminalize and what you won't, and we don't even have those discussions in terms of, we end up talking about tinkering with those who where, you know, we just continue to decide we'll catch or criminalize more things, or we'll norm crime. You know, even when we talk about crime prevention, that's norming crime. You know, I used the example today in our session of when you have food programs, when you feed kids in schools and say it's crime prevention monies, what you're essentially saying is, I'm feeding you kids so you don't become young criminals. What kind of message does that send as a society when we fund things and call it crime prevention? Not everything that we choose to criminalize gets reported, because it depends on in whose interest it is to, one, label something a crime, and then in whose interest it is to criminalize certain individuals in certain contexts when they've done certain things to certain other people. So, you know, you have to look at the layers of privilege and opportunity and lack thereof to see, you know, where it's likely and where it's least likely and where it's most likely that'll be where something will be criminalized. Because many people would say, oh yeah, homicide is almost always criminalized.